So let's move on, and I wanted to start by telling you a bit about the objectives of the training and what it is we're going to be covering. So first up, we're going to be talking about a framework for user-centered design, an overall process that shows you how to do usability and user experience and how to apply it to design projects. Now, this is very important because a lot of people think that user experience is about requirements capture, or they think it's about screen design, or it's about usability testing. Well, of course, they're components of it, but it's about more than that. It's really about an end-to-end process, and that's what we're going to be covering on the training. We're also going to discuss how to plan field visits to interview and observe your users. I mean, let's face it, the most important thing that we need to do in the design of any product is to understand the people who are going to be using it. So we're going to be talking about a particular technique called contextual inquiry that helps us get a long way to achieving that goal. I'll teach you how to use this method, and then you'll carry out an exercise where you actually do it yourself. We'll then move on to explain how you can use the data from your field visits to drive design. Now, you're going to do that by creating personas, user stories, red routes, and user journey maps. And this course will show you how to create those things, and you'll create your own versions of these as part of the course. Now, one element of understanding your users is uncovering and describing their mental model, the way they think of the application domain. So we'll cover that too. And understanding your user's mental model, well, that helps us choose appropriate schemes for classifying and organising information. And I'll teach you a simple method on this course for organising information in your user interface that will automatically make you the most creative person in the room. Seriously. And a related technique is card sorting. This is a wonderful way to rummage around inside your users' heads and discover the way they think about your product. And on this course, you'll learn how to design and conduct online and offline card sorting sessions, and you'll actually get to practice a card sorting session yourself. We'll also cover the rationale for selecting appropriate user interface design patterns. And choosing the right design pattern, well, it gives you a turbo boost when creating user interfaces, and I'll introduce you to the main patterns and show you where to go to find more. And then we'll cover prototyping. I'm going to teach you a method of developing throwaway prototypes. Prototypes that you can develop in a few hours and test with users really quickly. Now, this type of prototyping supports a central principle of user experience, which is iterative design. We want to design and test and redesign and so on. And to support that, we need some way of quickly prototyping our ideas. And on this course, you'll not just learn how to prototype, you'll actually create a prototype too. Part of being able to prototype is learning about visual design. How can we create visual designs that wow users, or at the very least, don't make them puke when they look at our screens? Well, I'll introduce you to some universal principles of visual design, and you'll redesign a form so that it looks good. We'll also discuss the design of usability tests. This is where you get real users to carry out real tasks with your system and you watch them struggle. You'll learn how to measure time on task, success rate and user satisfaction, and you'll discover why those metrics are so important. You'll also learn how to moderate a usability test and prioritise the observations that you make. And you'll then run a usability test yourself with your end users as part of this course. And then finally, we'll talk about usability principles. Sometimes you'll hear these called heuristics, and you'll see how you can apply these principles both to evaluate and to design user interfaces. So, by the end of this course, you'll have decided on a design activity, and if you don't have your own, I'll give you the choice of 5 different ones. And after that, you'll have carried out user interviews, analysed the data, created a persona, developed red routes, prototyped your product, and tested it with users, all within the scope of this course. Now, there's a lot in there. We better get started. Oh, just before we start, there's something I'd like you to do. In the download pack with the extra materials for this course, you'll find the student workbook. And on page 3 of that workbook, you'll find this form, which asks you to think about your objectives for the training. It looks like the document you can see here. Here's your first task. I'd like you to locate this document and think about what it is you want to get out of the training. I want you to think about your objectives for the course. You've heard mine. What are yours? If you just sit through the course and listen to the lectures without having any objectives in mind, you'll never know whether you achieved your aims or not. So spend 5 minutes thinking about your goals, and then please share them with me in the discussion area for the course. Right, let's get started.